Hello, and how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest gaming news, rumors, and speculation. For once today, you can set your tinfoil hats aside. You can put your skooma to the side as well, unless you want to use it to celebrate, because we have a huge reason to finally celebrate. Bethesda broke that Starfield silence, and we got a brand new Starfield trailer that got uploaded like a few minutes before I recorded the audio for this video, and this just isn't any other Starfield trailer. We got the official Starfield release date announcement in this trailer as well, and the hype is truly assuming direct control. I've been running all over my house like a madman for the last few minutes, just yelling and celebrating and being excited. I'm sure a lot of you all are excited as well, but let's not waste any more time, and let's get right into today's content. First of all, Bethesda dropped a couple minutes of a trailer a few minutes ago, and this trailer showed us some brand new gameplay, which is pretty amazing to be honest, and at the same time also gave us that Starfield release date, and they gave us the date for the Starfield showcase on top of that. So we finally are no longer floating in the dark voids of space wondering when this game will come out, because Starfield is officially going to release on September 6th, 2023. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, that's not within the first 6 months of the year, but one thing we have to keep in mind is usually when a company, a game development studio, gives a large release date window like that, half the time the actual release date ends up falling just outside of that window. So no, we can't classify this as another Starfield delay because we have the release date now, September 6th, and personally, I love this release date, because any of you who have been listening to my videos for a while now know that I've been saying I didn't really like the June release date idea. Even though Starfield is a huge game and it could come out any time in the year and do great, usually summer releases aren't the best, and on top of that, I am gonna be busy at E3 in Los Angeles this June. I didn't want to have to miss out on either E3 or miss out on playing the game, so this means that there will probably be a huge Starfield presence at E3 as well. And more on that, the Starfield showcase that we've all been talking about lately, that insiders have been talking about, that we have been highly anticipating the announcement of, is going to take place on June 11th. Bethesda is going to upload a major deep dive into Starfield. In Todd Howard's own words, this is going to be the biggest deep dive into Starfield yet, and it's going to be straight out of Bethesda's offices, so this doesn't seem like it's going to be something they're going to be inviting insiders to. This doesn't seem like it's going to be its own event at E3. The Starfield Deep Dive Showcase is a separate event that will drop during the E3 season, and I am so excited right now. I cannot believe I woke up to this news. Usually I wake up and I fire up Fallout 4 to get my day started, to wait for the skooma and the caffeine to kick in before I do a video, and finally, I can do a video about something other than speculation for once. This is just the best news I could have ever received today, and I am so happy. And just look at how happy Todd is as well. Todd is so excited to finally be getting this news off his chest, especially with all the people lately talking about Starfield, thinking it could be delayed, thinking there might be a development issue with the game. None of that's true. Starfield is on track to release in September, and I would bet all 5 of my testicles that it's not going to be delayed anymore. This is the final release date for Starfield. We'll finally have the game in our hands this year, this September, and I am so hyped. And yes, we did get new gameplay footage as well during this trailer, which I'm going to go ahead and break down for you real quick as well. First of all, this first scene is a scene of space, because that's where Starfield takes place, and we see one big planet with another planet in the background, but the main thing I want to focus on here is this gigantic ship. This is clearly a capital ship, one of the biggest ships we've seen in-engine in Starfield thus far, which confirms there are very, very large ships in this game, which is super exciting. The next scene here, we see an asteroid field with a planet and most likely a moon behind behind it. The graphics look great, very immersive. I wonder if we can mine asteroids, and remember, we can land on any one of these planets or moons and explore the entirety of the planet or the moon, so that anything you see in this trailer is something we can land on and explore, which also is really awesome. Here we see a terrestrial planet that has oceans on it and has green land masses, which means there are flora and fauna on the planet. But more importantly, we see the original space station that was showcased to us during the very first Starfield announcement trailer. And yes, this is a Constellation space station, which rhymes, I guess, but also we see the player apparently docking with this space station as well as the radio operator welcomes us to the space station. So this is awesome, and judging by some of the dialogue here, it seems like these Constellation space stations actually utilize some kind of scanning technology to find the artifacts that we'll be searching for in the main story. The very mysterious artifacts that seem like they have ancient alien origins, and I just can't contain my excitement right now. This looks like it's the interior of the space station. Looks super clean, super high detailed, and once again, the graphics in this game are amazing. So it seems like my take on this is when we find an artifact and we turn it into Constellation, or we report where it is and what it does, we may return back to these space stations in order to find another one. My guess is there's multiple of these Constellation space stations scattered throughout the settled systems and the rest of the playable area. Probably one space station for a gigantic area of space, so there'd be multiple of these. And in order to progress the main story, in order to go to a new area, or when we go to a new area, we have to dock at the space station and it'll direct us towards our next artifact. Here we see something that we've seen in previous Starfield trailers, one of these strange anomalies that have these rotating arms, these rotating things with magical space particles floating around. So these artifacts are extremely high-tech, definitely on an entire another level, separate from what humanity has in terms of space technology, so I definitely think this tech is alien in nature. Here we see a shot of a moon orbiting a red or orange planet. I believe we've seen a moon like this in previous Starfield trailers as well, but just look at the detail here. The lighting is amazing. Here we see another shot of what looks to be a moon orbiting a planet. Maybe this is the same moon we've seen previously, but I think it's a different one because it has some very, very interesting landmass structure. These landmasses look like there might have potentially been, at one point in time, either water or an atmosphere on this moon, because usually you don't get structures or rock formations like this unless there is heavy erosion either by water or by heavy winds. Now this shot is pretty interesting because I believe this might just be a black hole. I don't know what else this could be. If this is a black hole, it looks a little off because usually if there's stars surrounding a black hole, they get distorted. Their light gets distorted by the gravitational influence of the black hole, but this might not be a black hole at all. This could just be something completely different and actually might be an artifact somehow. And then this scene also collaborates with what I just said. I think the previous scene wasn't a black hole, but was actually an artifact, and maybe this is part of the visions our character gets when interacting with these artifacts. Here we see the structure on the same moon that we saw previously in this trailer that I just broke down, and this structure definitely has ancient alien vibes and actually contains one of the artifacts that Constellation is looking for. You can see that orange-red planet in the background again, so this is the same moon we saw before, and it seems like these artifacts are far off into space in the uncharted, unexplored areas that we will be the first to discover. Also, there's a strange gravitational anomaly around these artifacts as well, because you can see debris and other things floating around the structure, and also it looks like there's a Christmas tree in there. That's nice, but that's not really a Christmas tree. That's just some strange lighting particle effect that lowers as the character approaches the interior of the structure. And then as we enter the chamber, we see more strange floating debris, lights and stuff, and then this artifact rises up and starts to rotate. And here we see our player character actually floating in front of the artifact. So this gives me like some kind of Mass Effect beacon vibes. For those of you who have played Mass Effect 1, interacting with the beacon kind of made the player float up a bit and start having visions. I have the feeling that this will be very similar to what happens when we interact with these artifacts in Starfield, only there seems to be smaller artifacts as well, because some of the people in the Starfield universe, like the Collector Man we saw in previous gameplay trailers, has an artifact on display on a shelf. So it might have just been a piece of an artifact, and this is actually an intact artifact that still operates. I wonder what these artifacts will tell us. I wonder what secrets they hold. My guess is it has to do with intelligent aliens. There probably won't be an intelligent alien race in Starfield 1, but by interacting with these artifacts, maybe in Starfield 2, we can track down and find these actual ancient alien civilizations. But the similarity to how it looks when compared to a black hole is something I can't ignore, so maybe we travel through a black hole somehow in order to get to new areas of space, or maybe to discover where these ancient aliens came from or went to. And there it is, the release date, September 6th, 2023, and I already know some people are probably going to be expecting it to get delayed again. I'll bet that this game will not get delayed anymore. This is the final release date. A wild Todd Howard appears. They always have some type of kitchen in the background in a lot of these, which is interesting. I guess this is the gathering point for Bethesda staff, but we can see in the background the legendary Visor Man who playtested Oblivion is playtesting Starfield. We can see the game in action back there, and it seems like they're exploring what looks like a Mars-like planet. There really isn't too much to take away from the gameplay footage in the background, but it does look smooth, it does look great, and we do see the switch between first and third person, which is something that was already confirmed in previous gameplay trailers, but nonetheless, this is further confirmation we can play the game in first and third person. And then Todd talks about how June 11th they're going to be doing the Starfield deep dive in studio, so hopefully they invite content creators, hopefully they invite me to go to this, but my take is this Starfield deep dive showcase isn't going to be something where they invite the public or even content creators to. It's going to be something contained within the Bethesda studios that is then released for E3 viewing purposes. The Starfield Direct, though, is going to be the biggest deep dive showcase we have seen about Starfield thus far, so any remaining major questions we have about the game will be answered at this Direct, except for stuff that obviously Bethesda wants to hold off of for us to discover ourselves when we finally play the game later this year. Todd does mention, though, that there is so much that Bethesda still has to show us, so I have the feeling that we barely have touched the surface with this game's content. Starfield will most likely have the most playable content, new gameplay mechanics, and more out of any previous Bethesda game thus far, and Todd mentions they've poured so much work into this that even they themselves are excited to finally play it. Todd does seem pretty understanding of how quiet Bethesda has been and of how hyped people have been to hear more about this game, and he looks just super happy and finally relieved to get this announcement off of his chest. He also isn't wearing a leather jacket. I wonder if that is kept solely for E3 stage purposes. Todd Howard has an E3 kit that contains that Indiana Jones leather jacket we all know and love, and he only breaks it out for showcases. Here we see a shot of some pretty interesting gameplay. It looks like this planet has a lot of colorful plant life on it. The character appears to be holding a shotgun or a pistol of some kind that we haven't really seen before, and we see what looks like futuristic wind turbines on the planet as well. The color here looks amazing. Starfield will probably not have that gray wash that we saw in Skyrim or the weird beige tones we saw in Fallout. This game will be heavily colored, and obviously the color palette will depend on what planet we're on or what setting we happen to be in when we play the game, but nonetheless, the colors, the graphics, everything looks great. Here we see another planet. This planet looks like it's a desert planet, but it still has some plant life in the background, and again, we've seen a very wide range of biomes and terrain types thus far in this game. Here we see another forested planet shot where the character is running in third person, and it looks like there's a few dinosaurs running around in the background as well. I don't believe this is a planet we've seen in previous gameplay, so again, we're seeing a new biome, something new here, and the color palette again looks awesome. game. There will most likely be dense jungles, dense forests, deserts, barren planets, anything you could dream of in terms of space fantasy will probably be in this game, and the hype is insane for me right now. Sorry if I'm just sounding like a crazy person, but I can't help it. I'm so excited for this. And here we see some character customization. We can see that they're actually selecting different helmets for the playable character, which leads me to believe that maybe armor sets aren't just one individual piece like a whole suit is an armor set, but we can customize the helmet, the chest piece, the greaves, maybe the arms and the boots, and so on. And it also looks like the different armor pieces have different stats as well, so even the armor system has a lot of depth to it. And here we see another creature. This creature looks like something from Tremors, but with legs. It looks like it's a blind creature, probably something that focuses more on sonar or hearing to hunt the player down, but I know I don't want to get sucked into that strange tooth mouth. Looks pretty intimidating, and yet again, this is another creature we haven't seen before. Just look how happy this guy is while he's playing it. You can see the smile on his face. That's all gonna be us in September. And that's it. That's the entire trailer. Not too much new gameplay, but still the major focus is it's new gameplay. Stuff we, for the most part, haven't seen before. And my take on all this is probably the last big bit of Starfield marketing. This is probably the last Starfield trailer we'll see up until that June 11th showcase. If we're lucky, though, we may get some more Starfield Q&A devlogs like we did previously about quests and stuff, but nonetheless, I have to say, we probably won't hear too much more until June. But now, not only do we finally have a Starfield release date, not only do we have the date for the showcase, but now we don't have to just wonder when stuff is going down, because that's been my main issue lately with Bethesda. It's been totally silent about Starfield. There hasn't been an open line of communication, but they finally told us what we need to hear, and I am so excited. But as always, what I want to know is, what do you think about all this down in the comments below? Are you excited to finally know the Starfield release date? Are you looking forward to that June 11th showcase? Let me know what you want to hear specifically on this June 11th showcase down in the comments below. And as always, huge major shout outs to the following amazing people for going above and beyond to support the channel and the community. If you want to get a permanent future video shout out, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member or via Super Thanks. Links for all this and more are down in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of this journey with me.
It just works.